Why do some people rise to success so quickly even though they lack certain qualifications? What's their secret? Like your colleague who got promoted although he's 5 years younger than you, or that classmate who dropped out of university but built a successful business and a loving family regardless. There are many factors behind success, but research and successful people agree on one thing. The secret to success doesn't lie with your IQ or your intelligence. What really matters is your EQ or emotional intelligence. Just think of someone that you know who had good grades, worked really hard, but constantly steps on others' toes. Compare them with someone else who can easily resolve a conflict, motivate others, and is well liked by everyone. Who do you think is more likely to get ahead in life? That is the power of emotional intelligence. In this video, we explain what emotional intelligence is, why your EQ matters more than your IQ, and 5 tips that you can use immediately to become more emotionally intelligent and accelerate your success. Let's start by understanding what is emotional intelligence and why does it have such a big impact on our work and lives. Research shows that emotional intelligence is 4 times more important for success than IQ scores or technical competencies. The concept was popularized by Daniel Goleman in the 1990s. He defines it as the ability to become aware of your emotions, to control it, express it, and manage interpersonal relationships. Our EQ affects how we respond to situations, how we connect and bond with other people, and whether our judgment gets clouded by emotions. Daniel Goleman breaks EQ down into 5 components. We'll go through each one, and later I'll share a practical way to apply these elements in real life. First, self-awareness. Our emotions trigger a series of chemical reactions in our brain. When we experience an emotion, our limbic system, which is the feeling part of the brain, releases chemicals and hormones which create an immediate unconscious reaction in our body. When you're unaware of these processes at work, you might feel controlled by your emotions. Self-awareness is our ability to recognize and understand the emotions as they happen. Once you are aware of the emotions, our mental activities shift from the limbic system to the neocortex, which is the thinking part of our brain. We become conscious of our unconscious feelings and can therefore start to manage them. Think of the last time that you felt really stressed. Did you clamp up, lash out, or make a hasty decision? If you had been aware of your rising stress levels, you could have taken a moment to think about what's stressing you out and how you can react better to it. Self-awareness is a critical first step because it helps you to recognize the emotion, understand its underlying triggers and patterns, and therefore lay a strong foundation for the next component, which is self-regulation. Self-regulation is about taking charge of unpleasant thoughts and feelings in the moment, so you can respond in a more healthy and constructive way. For example, during a heated discussion, our feelings may spiral out of control and we end up saying or doing things that we regret. By taking a moment to calm yourself down and respond more thoughtfully, you can drastically change the outcome. We have a separate video where we zoom in on emotional self-regulation, including how to manage your emotions in 4 parts to dial up your positive feelings and dial down your negative feelings. The third element of emotional intelligence is self-motivation. Let's say you encounter some roadblocks for an important project. Can you motivate yourself to push through those challenges? Or do you give up and feel defeated? When you don't feel like doing something that you should, do you procrastinate? Or do you get it done regardless? That is what self-motivation is all about. The ability to channel your emotions as fuel to drive your long-term goals. So far, the first 3 elements are about managing our own emotions. They are internal to us and involve our personal EQ, while the next 2 elements are external and relate to our social EQ. Later, we'll introduce a process to help you apply all 5 elements right away in all aspects of your life. For now, let's move on to the 4th element, which is empathy. This is our ability to tune in and read other people's feelings, needs, and wants. It's like self-awareness, except now we are turning our radar outward to receive others' thoughts and feelings. When people feel that you're paying attention to them, that you empathize and care about where they are coming from, it builds trust and connection. On the other hand, without empathy, we are oblivious to others' feelings, we misinterpret their cues, and say or do things that damage the relationship. Finally, we have relationship management. This is where we combine all the other elements above to manage our external interactions more effectively. Just think about it. Before you can achieve win-win outcomes and build meaningful relationships, you must first understand your needs and wants, as well as the other person's needs and wants. Only then can you truly connect and create outcomes that satisfy both sides. Let's look at how all 5 components come together. When we don't pay attention to our thoughts and feelings and make wrong assumptions about where the others are coming from, we end up with misunderstandings, conflicts, and missed opportunities. But when you develop any of these 5 elements, it improves your overall EQ, with multiplier effects on the other areas as well. So how do we apply this in real life? Most resources I came across were rather vague, so I had to experiment with ideas from several resources to find the answer. I distilled all these down to a 5-part formula to help me to remember how to use the 5 ingredients that we just talked about. These have really helped me to improve my EQ over the years, and I hope it will help you too. The 5-step formula for practicing emotional intelligence. We know that EQ is important, but in real life, it's hard to remember what to do, especially when things are moving so fast and we have so much on our minds. So let's keep this simple. To help us focus on the 5 EQ ingredients, we just have to remember 5 questions strung together by the acronym ARMER. Ready? First, self-awareness. Throughout your day, periodically ask yourself, what am I feeling right now and why? Think of it as a mental check-in to consider what's going on inside yourself at this moment. Second, self-regulation. We can redirect unhelpful feelings in constructive ways to avoid words or actions that we regret later. To get our feelings in check, ask yourself, how can I respond to get the outcome I really want? It's like hitting the pause button on your emotions so you have the chance to think before you act. Third, self-motivation. When you're tempted to give up in face of challenges, it helps to just focus on the next baby step that you can take. Use this question. What can I do now to achieve my desired long-term outcomes? It's like conquering a huge mountain, one step at a time. Next, empathy. Now that we have a good hold of our internal state, we can look outward towards other people to understand where they are coming from. The question to ask is, how might they be feeling and why? It's like stepping into their shoes for a moment to see things from their perspective. Finally, relationship management. This is where we ask, how can I create a positive outcome for everyone involved? This helps us to step back, look at the big picture to create win-win outcomes. So there you are, 5 powerful questions to help you tap into the 5 elements of emotional intelligence. Now you might be thinking, what? That's it? I can become more emotionally intelligent just by asking 5 questions? Yes, you can. Because these questions are carefully designed to shift your focus quickly, to pause, reflect, and redirect your responses real time. The more you practice them, the more it builds neural pathways in your mind, and over time it becomes second nature to use emotionally intelligent responses. It's like how you ride a bike or drive a car effortlessly with enough practice. The 5 questions don't necessarily happen in a strict sequence, so treat them like a set of tools that you can use interchangeably. To help you apply this 5-step formula in real life, let's go through 2 familiar scenarios to see how we can make the questions work for us. Imagine you return home late from work to find your partner flipping through the TV channels in the living room. It's his turn to prepare dinner tonight, but there's nothing on the dining table. In fact, the dishes from last night's dinner are still in the sink, and this morning he had promised to get them done. Now at this point, you might be tempted to confront your partner, but wait! Let's use the formula instead. As you look inward to ask, what am I feeling now and why? You realize that you're not really angry about the dishes or dinner. You're actually feeling disappointed because you're still reeling from an awful meeting earlier and you wanted to relax over dinner with your partner. And you're feeling somewhat betrayed because he hasn't kept his word and it makes you feel like he doesn't take you seriously. With this realization, you can ask the second question. How can I respond to get the outcome that I really want? If you start shouting or chastising him, he might just withdraw and you both end up with a cold war for the rest of the night. That is the opposite of what you want right now, which is some food in your tummy, some quality bonding time, and a chance to soothe yourself from a stressful workday. But you are already so tired. Can you really find the will and the energy to settle the dishes, whip up dinner, and still be civil? Let's address the next question. What can I do now to achieve my desired long-term results? You remember the loving relationship that you share? And remind yourself that this is what really matters in the long run. Much more important than the need to feel righteous or justified right now. And all you need to do is take the first baby step to engage him positively. Now that you have a handle over your thoughts and feelings, you can turn your attention to your partner. How might he be feeling and why? At this point, you notice that his computer is open by the sofa and he's still in his work clothes, which is unusual because he likes to change into something comfortable as soon as he gets home. His brows are furrowed as he flips through the channel and he seems to be lost in thought rather than really watching TV. Something is probably troubling him. So instead of confronting him with a sarcastic remark like what you wanted to do initially, you respond with empathy instead. Hun, are you alright? You seem lost in thought. You soon realize that your partner, like you, had a really tough day at work. His boss just got fired and he's unsure of his team's fate with the upcoming restructuring. He needs to recharge and soothe himself as much as you do. With that, the answer to the last question becomes clear. How can I create a positive outcome for everyone involved? Both of you decide to just put work aside for the time being, order dinner, and allow yourselves to rest and recuperate for the night. Can you see how, by hitting the pause button and going through the 5-step process, you can change the course of your evening? Most of the steps happen in seconds, but they leave a much longer and lasting impact. Let's try another scenario at work. Imagine you have been putting your heart and soul to lead your team on a major project. During a meeting, one of your team members says that she's frustrated at the lack of clarity and progress on the project. Your first impulse is to disagree and point out how much has been accomplished already. But hold on, let's pause and apply the 5-step formula first. We start by looking inward at what you're feeling and why. You realize that you're feeling defensive because the criticism seems to suggest that you're failing as a project leader, and that makes you feel really insecure. But you remind yourself that this could be just your interpretation and not necessarily what she means. With that, you can choose a more constructive response. Instead of shutting down her comments, you seek clarification by asking, "Can you elaborate on that? Which part of the project seems unclear or doesn't seem to be progressing?" Your colleague starts to point out specific examples, like areas where roles overlap or how people had to redo the same work because the requirements were not clearly defined from the onset. As she speaks, you realize that you're feeling stressed and discouraged because you had missed out on those crucial details, and now going back to the drawing board could mean major project delays. To stop yourself from feeling overwhelmed, you need to chunk things down by asking, what can you do now to deliver the project successfully and on time? And the first step is to work out the missing details and how to address them. You remind yourself of all your successful projects and feel more assured that you can handle this. Now, you look at the colleague who had raised the issue and realize that you're probably not the only person feeling stressed. After all, she's new on the team and still under probation, so she probably feels pressured to deliver results and uncertain about how to proceed. So how can you help everyone to get a positive outcome? You thank your team member for her honest feedback, then you arrange another meeting to address the blind spots with the entire team and realign the work. At the end, you thank everyone for their contributions and your worried colleagues look a lot more relieved. With a motivated, united team, you can get the project right back on track. Can you see how differently things could have gone if you had responded defensively to shut down your colleagues' feedback? Now that you have seen the 5 questions at work, can you think of the scenarios where you can apply them in your life? Go ahead and test them out this week and drop a comment below to share how it goes. I do admit that the 5 questions are simple but not always easy, because when your emotions are running high, it can be really hard to rein yourself in. Initially, the process will feel a bit clunky because you must deliberately think of the questions. So try saving them in your phone or writing them down on a small card so you can access them easily. And remember, you can mix and match the 5 questions like a set of tools to solve any problem or situation. With more practice, they'll feel a lot more natural to you, and you can tune into yourself and others without asking those questions intentionally. With emotional intelligence, it's so much easier to build deep and meaningful relationships, to move ahead in your career, and to achieve your personal goals in life. If you want to dive deeper into the key ideas on EQ, I have added links in the description for reading graphics, visual book summaries. These are extremely helpful for absorbing powerful ideas from great authors in just a few minutes. And here's another great video to position yourself for greater success. I'll see you there.